Well, a very good evening to you watching us right now. This is the OS 9 television channel 47 on StarTimes and online, and maybe this is also really a time for you to be part of what we call the National Population and Census Exercise, and this is also really where you are going to be finding that information. And today we are joined by a team of stakeholders who are going to also really do the talking, and that is in relation to the forthcoming National Population and Housing Census Exercise, and we want to see how the people are prepared and really in terms of also really why they must be part of this exercise, and really want to call upon now each and everybody to ensure that also they be part of this exercise, because today is the 7th of May, and the May month is also the month that is said to be the census month. And this is also really where with the 9th of May, where we are also being told that the census night, and the team will also be doing the talking about that. And really, without wasting any time, I am joined by a team of wonderful panelists, and they will be also really telling us more to that. And on our far ends is Honorable Kalsum, that's Fademula Amin, and she will be also telling us more about that, and also really why this exercise is very much important for them. And you're most welcome to the show. Thank you very much, and I want to appreciate my listeners. Okay, and also on my right here, I want to start with the ladies, as always the saying that ladies and gentlemen, and I really want to start with the ladies first. I'm also joined by Consolate Olemaru, and she is the City Information Officer, and on this opportunity she is going to be the Publicity Officer also in terms of also this census exercise. You're most welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here today.
All right, and then for the gentleman, I will also want to give now the chance for him to introduce himself, because I believe he is the best person to introduce himself, because today is an affair of gentlemen and ladies, two ladies and two gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. Good evening, viewers. I am Olemaru John, Senior IT Officer, Rua City, and I'll be the Census IT Officer.
Okay, I want to start off the discussions right with you as the IT personnel. This year's census exercise is going to be entirely digital. That is what we have been told. And it is the very first time that we are going to be conducting a census exercise that is online. I don't know, as the IT personnel, how prepared you are in terms of also the gadget, the power banks that we are told that these are going to be getting. I don't know how maybe ready Arua City is for this exercise in terms of the preparation of the enumerators and maybe the necessary equipment.
Thank you. Today is Day 8 of the enumerators and supervisors training, and tomorrow, which is our final day, is when we will be flagging them off. And other than the flagging off, we have undergone intensive understanding of the concepts of census and the tools that we will use. As you alluded, indeed, the 6th census since independence will be the first ever digital census that the country will hold. And in this case, why did we go digital? It's not just about copying what other countries are doing. Going digital will save us a number of costs and time. You realize that using the paper-based that has happened in the first 5 censuses earlier, there's need to transfer this data from the various locations to a common point before data entry can be done, meaning the data integrity can also be interfered with, because along the way, some handwritings may be bad, meaning the capturing of this information may not be as accurate as it is captured at the source, which this 6th census is actually trying to address, because we will basically capture the responses from the households, from the different entities that we are going to interview during this process directly on our tablets. And what that means is that data captured is as it is, and that is relayed directly to our servers. So as Rua City, we received 761 tablets, and so far we have distributed around 540. We had these enumerators trained in 5 different centers. At Niva Primary School, especially for those coming from former Oluko sub-county, at Oluko Secondary School, for those in Oluko and parts of the dam, at St. George's College Ombati, for those from former ROA and Manibe, and then also parts of Arewara and Yapi, and then also Adumi Secondary School for those coming from Adumi and the Aivuni, former sub-counties, and then those in Central and those within Binate Republic. So it's only those at the Republic that we
talking about the preparation of the enumerators, I also want to understand that are you maybe in any way prepared for the challenges? For instance, power, Western Sub-Region with our Discord light kind of electricity. I don't know, for those challenges, are you maybe prepared for this, for maybe in your exercise?
Yes.
Are we having maybe room, if at all, maybe the digital fails? Are we having paperwork as an alternative maybe to the exercise?
We anticipate power challenges, even where power is constant. Our enumerators, definitely the gadget will run out of power. And that's why every enumerator will receive a tablet And this tablet, which we are calling Kapi, is actually what we will use, and this will come along with the power bank. Because we know when they're already in the household, they don't expect to go, or again, request to charge their tablets when they're in this. That's why we are issuing this. We hope that at least once the tablet being new is charged, can last for at least 8 hours in the day, and that can be supplemented by the power bank. And definitely we'll expect that as it dries out, the enumerators will actually be able to also recharge it for the following
Let me
day.
move a bit to Madam Kalsum to also understand maybe how important this exercise are to them in terms of planning, and then how have they prepared maybe the masses, and later on Madam Consolate will also be telling us, because she is the information officer. I believe they have been running several maybe campaigns to see to that also this exercise runs a success. Let me first start with you. Why this exercise is important to you in the administration? Because you are in this capacity as the city mayor, not only as the chairperson, maybe social services, you are the capacity of the city mayor. Why would this exercise maybe be important to you, and why do you need also the people out there to be part of this exercise? You're most welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. I want to appreciate West Nile TV. I want to thank the country leadership for all the initiatives we have done. I think Kalsum Abdul Fadimula, I'm the Secretary for Social Services, in for the Mayor of Arua City, but here we are on behalf of the community now. You know the importance of census, and since we became a city, we had a lot of challenges. Reduce the IPFs, you find that resources are not enough. We are fidgeting with very meager resources, but just because basically the previous census had a lot of loopholes, and I think this time I want to encourage the masses. I want to encourage the community. I want to encourage our voters to be very vigilant, because this is what is going to determine our national cake. There's nobody who is going to plan for us without knowing the numbers. Even at home. In the home, you must know how much I must spend in a day. So this census is going to be very important. Let us all participate in it. In health sector, you find that drugs, because of Pan-Africanism, because of our proximity to the border to Sudan and the DRC Congo, most of our brothers and sisters access services from Arua City. So if we don't do all of this, we find that people and the Wanainji will not the national. Outside that, we are here to encourage everybody to participate and ensure that you are counted on that day. Don't cheat yourself, don't cheat the region, don't cheat the population of Arua City. After this, that's where we're going to realize very positive service delivery via resources. Roads are not okay. We have very bad road networks. We have very bad schools structures. You find that, I'm sorry to mention, but it is worth mentioning. Some pupils are still learning under trees. And you find that teachers move from long distances. When they reach classes, they're already tired. The syllabus is not covered just because we have not been targeted very well. I'm sure that after the census, after the financial year, after the implementation of this census, we are going to enjoy the national cake. Okay. And I want to encourage that those who are going to work should really target exactly what they're supposed to do. We don't want jokes this time. Okay. No joke with the data this time. Education, health, everything must be at a par such that we get our national cake the way other people get in other regions. Okay.
Now let me come to Madam Consolate Olemaru, and we want to understand how have you prepared the citizens, and maybe what do you expect in the forthcoming exercise?
Thank you so much. We have done quite a lot. This very afternoon we've been engaging our stakeholders. We have gone to the villages. We are going through the road drives. We are moving to our deep villages that are in Adumi, Oluko, Dadamaroi, in the former sub-counties of Arua district, that may not be able to listen to the radios, that may not be able to watch TV. We have moved to them, and we want the message reaches the common man. At least by Thursday, we hope that everybody will be catered for. Now, one of the issues here has been that some people
have not heard about census, and yet we have done a lot of mobilization. We've been on radio, we've been even on TV here. Last week we were here, today we're here, and we've realized that many of our people do not watch these TVs. So that is the reason why we have used another approach of now using the road drives, because there's music, there's somebody talking, and this always attracts the attention of people. But also one of the approaches that we've used, that we had our leaders gathered today at the city hall, the leaders, all the councillors of the city, all our religious leaders. We had people coming in from managers of buses, managers of our hotels and accommodation facilities. They came together so that we could give them information that they can go and disseminate to the rest of the people that they lead. So the meeting of today, the stakeholder engagement, was highly successful, and we believe that even our leaders, our councillors, will be able to go back and sensitize their masses in their spheres of influence. I want to say that as a city, we are really prepared. We are prepared, and I want to say that we are dependent on this census because, just like my colleagues have mentioned, we have been lacking data. We have been using data of 2014, and during our mapping exercise that was done in February this year, early this year, we got statistics of our households, about 97,000 households in Arua City. And if you can do that simple mathematics and multiply a household size of average of 6 people, then it will even put our figures to go higher than what we are using currently for serving our population. So as a city, I know that our population wants to have a city that is beautiful, a city that has good roads, good infrastructure. We want to encourage that everybody should be counted so that government can start giving us the right funds to implement services for its people here in Arua City. This census is not only for the nationals. We are going to enumerate even people that are living in this city that are not Ugandan nationals. We have South Sudanese living in this city. We have multiple nationals. We have a Nigerian population, Somali, migrants. We have people coming from India. So it is going to be for everybody. That is the reason that we have also recruited enumerators that are able to speak the various languages. So I want to say here, I want to end by saying that we are highly prepared. We have 3 days to go, and as being in charge of publicity, we are going to use the 3 days effectively to reach even that common man who has not been reached, using the platforms that are most suitable for them. Thank you.
Let me now come back to Mr. John on the issue about confidentiality. I know some people out there may want to shun the exercise because they think their information is going to be used, that is for any other thing that really they feel may not be well. And now we want to see how are we going to be keeping this information very, very much confidential, so that also really that one person who still has negative stereotype towards the exercise can also be part of this exercise, so that we do not have many people who may also really want to run away from the exercise. We are saying this because we are going to be seeing so many people also who may, at the end of the day, want to shun the exercise because they feel the information is going to be used that is for another purpose. First, maybe first put off their fears aside.
Yeah, thank you. Indeed, data confidentiality is always an issue when any survey of any kind is done, and this census is not an exception. However, we have taken measures to ensure confidentiality is maintained. As we are training these enumerators and supervisors, it is one of the core issues that we emphasize in. Besides that, as part of the flag-off, all enumerators will actually do an oath of secrecy administered by the chief magistrate in all these centers to ensure that whatever information they get from these households, from the different floating population, from accommodation facilities, is meant for statistical purposes, but not to follow up anyone or to be used against the individuals who are going to give. Therefore, we trust that the information that they are going to collect will actually only be used for that purpose, and that's also one of the reasons why we went digital this time, because the data will be between you and the respondent, and it goes direct to the server.
Okay, maybe in a scenario where the items fail, because these are machines, and we expect such maybe things that also to happen. How prepared are we for those maybe challenges that may arise?
Yes, we have a team of reserve enumerators who are on standby. But in terms of the gadget, the enumerators have already been trained to back up data at 3 levels. One, they will be able to save this data on their tablets. But secondly, they will also be able to share this data on a daily basis with their supervisors. And also they have the option of sending this data, whether complete or incomplete, direct to the UBOS servers. This ensures that should anything happen with the tablet at any one particular point, this information is already somewhere. And therefore, whoever is coming to continue after that does not have to worry about the data which was already collected earlier. So that's the only way we're going to ensure that has not lost along the way as we are collecting this exercise. Yes, we do understand that it is possible for the data to fail. That's why, besides the tablets being our main tool for collecting data, the same application actually works in our smartphones.
Okay.
So that will only go as a last resort after the tablets we have available have been exhausted, because we are keeping a few tablets in office just as backup. Okay. Especially to cater for those.
Meaning you're very much prepared for that. Now
yes,
let me move to Honorable Kalsum Fademula. I want to understand why this exercise is very, very much important for you as Arua City, because this is going to be the very first time Arua City is undergoing the census exercise since Arua City has recently been gazetted as a city. Why is this information very, very much important for you in your administration?
I think previously mentioned, it is going to influence decision making and planning, okay, and the allocation of resources, okay, because the city is one of the largest cities, okay, in the country. But if you have the information, you have the data, we shall be able to plan for the citizens of this region, okay, because the city is the only city in the region which caters for the entire Western Nile. Okay. As we plan for the citizens and the Wananchi, we are also planning for those who will come. Okay. But if resources are there vis-a-vis the data, I think it is going to be much, much better, and help us in decision making, influencing, and everything will be in place. Even planning the roads, okay, water sources is going to influence that.
Okay, as always in any other activity, there are always those people who have negative mindsets and who may also really want to decampaign the exercise. What message do you have for such people who are in our societies who may want to maybe not make this exercise run as it is planned?
I think that's why we're calling for LCs, all the citizens in this region, to be very vigilant. Of course, it is to determine what you are supposed to get, so there's no joke there. So to some extent, we say this exercise is just wealth for us, because even it is going to influence business. The businessmen are going to use the same data to determine what resources should I allocate where, at what time. So it's very important for us and everybody to ensure that you are counted, such that you hold us accountable as service delivery, as managers of the city.
Now let me come back to Consolate. In a scenario where we find these people who may want to stand the exercise, what and how should the members of the community react if in case we have people who may also really want to?
Before she comes in, this time we're engaged, the office of the RCC is fully engaged, the office of the mayor, the office of the town clerk, even the security, because there are people who will want to sabotage this exercise, and these are people who might not come from here. They come from somewhere, they just want to disorganize you such that you remain marginalized forever. Okay. So security is alert, everybody is aware, even the community themselves, they are already aware that we have some saboteurs which are supposed to be suppressed.
Okay, let me come back to Consolate now in just a minute. Or what any additions to what she has said in relation to people who may want to sabotage the exercise?
Thank you so much. I want to say that those who are planning to sabotage the exercise, if you read today's Daily Monitor, the government is already clear that any person who will not be counted or who is going to sabotage the exercise faces 6 months in jail. So I believe that we wouldn't want any of our people here in Arua City to be succumb to that kind of stringent measures. But I want to encourage that census is not only going to be of help to us as a city, but to you as a person, because the government uses our population to plan for everybody. So if you're going to not allow yourself to be counted, then you're doing a disservice only to yourself, but also to the city at large. So we're ready for those kinds of people. If they are going to do any activity that will sabotage, the law will take its course.
Okay.
That is the only advice I give to people, that let us be supportive of Census 2024. It matters to be counted.
Okay, to the false prophets who may also want to decampaign the exercise, we are saying the security is very, very much ready to deal with you. And maybe I also want to advise the members of the community, in case we have such people, let's report them to the LC1, the chairperson of the villages, so that also really they can extend the information to police and other responsible security agencies around, so that also these people are dealt with accordingly with the law. Because it is a mandate, it's a constitutional mandate to be counted. That is also a reason as to why we are saying we must also be part of the exercise. For now, let's first have a short commercial break as we continue with the show later on.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Fellow countrymen and women, especially the Bazukuru, as we work towards realizing Uganda's Vision 2040, it is important that we plan based on accurate information about our people and our resources. I therefore would like to announce the 6th National Population and Housing Census that will start on the 10th of May 2024. The information from the National Population and Housing Census will support government, the private sector, cultural and religious institutions, civil society, and development partners in service delivery. It will also provide the basis for planning the provision of social services such as education, health, and transport, among many others, at the national and local levels. When data collectors or enumerators come to your home during the census, please avail yourselves and provide them with honest answers to their questions. This is in order to enable them to process the most accurate information about you, your household, institutions, and community. I therefore call upon all political, cultural, and religious leaders, private sector players, civil society, the media, and the institutions of the government to support this key national program. The successful execution of this census will influence the well-being of all Ugandans and progress the country towards the desired socio-economic transformation. I wish you all a successful census for God and my country.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that short commercial break. We are still discussing what we call the National Population and Housing Census exercise, which is due to commence this week, which is also released with the 9th of May being the census night. And we want to see how best the people can be prepared for this exercise. And this is also to call upon them now to be a part of and partial of this exercise such that nobody is left behind, and really want to see this exercise also really run as a success, because we have been told about the several advantages of this exercise by Honorable Kalsumu Fademula. And now we want to bring back the IT officer also to tell us how many questions people are going to be answering in this exercise, because a rumor has it there that people are going to be answering 180 questions. How true is that?
Yeah, thank you. There are quite a number of questions, and maybe before the number of questions, I need to specify the number of questionnaires that we are going to administer. The main questionnaire that we administer is the household questionnaire, where we expect to enumerate everyone who will spend the 9th of May, crossing from 9th to 10th at midnight, and everyone who will be in Uganda borders will be enumerated using that. And however, if you are in a household, we will use the household questionnaire, which actually is the longest. It has questions about every household member, and remember, we will need to differentiate between household member and family members. And it is important that as the enumerators go, they will guide you on how to differentiate who is a household member vis-a-vis who is a family member. But there are people who will be on transit, especially midnight. We are talking about as the reference point. We'll get them either on the road or not in their household. And in that category, for those on transit, especially the buses, we'll administer their questionnaire, which we call the floating population, a little bit earlier. Aware that, for instance, our bus is going to Kampala, will not reach Kampala before midnight. And therefore, all these bus stations that will be leaving and the non-taxi points that will leave Arua for Kampala at night, we administer that in the evening. Their questions are actually fewer. And each of the persons enumerated will actually be issued a card, and also the bus will be labeled, so that those who board along the way, you realize in our case, while there's an official park, there are many of our people who will prefer to board there along the way until they reach. So all those will be enumerated in the next stop. The questions are fewer. Then we also have another category of people who will be enumerated in the hospitals. You realize that we will not prevent people from falling sick, and many people will actually be admitted in this case in a clinic. So again, we will also be able to admit their questionnaire at the hospital for the in-patients, those who are admitted. However, the caretakers will be presumed to have been at home. So will not be able to, will not use the floating population for the caretakers. Similarly, there are those who are on night duty, especially our guards, the nurses, and the number of people who do night duty. It is by the nature of their work that they will be away from the households, so we'll add them to the household population that will enumerate. It may not be common here, but you realize elsewhere in other urban areas, there are people who actually are homeless and they sleep on the streets.
Okay.
So we'll also be able to enumerate those on the 9th, that midnight. Will actually find us.
I want to ask you, besides this data helping the local governments in terms of resource allocation, what are some of those advantages and benefits of this exercise? I'll start with you, and then Kalsum will also add a little bit on that.
Yeah, thank you. We have been emphasizing the importance to local government in relation to how the central government releases and even our own planning here can be enhanced with accurate data. But beyond government planning, we have development partners who will be able to know what kind of interventions they need to engage in within Arua city or within any district within the country. But beyond these development partners, we should also be able to have the religious leaders. I know census is an expensive venture, and therefore the religious organizations or the religious institutions there may not accurately know how many followers they have, or how many of their faithfuls are there, and therefore the census will actually be an important tool for them so that they know how to plan for that congregation.
Okay.
Similarly, we also have cultural institutions.
Okay.
Within the questions that we'll ask will involve your tribe and even clan, and therefore it will be possible for our cultural institutions to know who is where and at what point. Then other than this, we also have the business. All of us in business, in the private sector, want to get a certain percentage of the market share. And how do we get this market percentage? It depends on the numbers. And also it helps you know the buying power of these people. Okay. So for the private sector, it is quite crucial that they need to know these numbers so that they know where to invest, who will be their customers, and how will they benefit from their investments in one way or another. Okay. So those are addition to our government, both local and central, getting this done.
Now let me move to Honorable Kalsum. We want to see how maybe best you are prepared, because we have been told one unique factor that is going to be taking place with this exercise is the counting of clans. Also the clan question is going to be asked. As that docket also services, how is that information important for you in terms of doing your work, and how will that help you out in terms of also resource allocation? Because we have been told that information about clans is also going to be captured. And today we have so many cultural institutions, definitely, which I also believe you need the support to make this exercise a success. How will that maybe information help you?
I think it is very important because, you know, Arua city is a cosmopolitan city. So it will also help us to determine what category of people are here outside the city. And also, since we involve the cultural leaders, we involve the religious leaders, and I'm very grateful that they honored our invitation this evening. We were all there for the briefing. So I think collectively this information is going to help us in all these institutions. And as a government, we shall also are there in faith, Anglican, word, because there are other things which we plan for them, like the Muslim community, in terms of the project which are coming. You can't plan for piggery for a Muslim. And it happens. So it will influence us to say for this category of people we can plan for this project, and it will also help us, especially the people in leadership, like the mayor, who moves a lot outside the country. And this data will help him, all of us, to determine, and for lobbying and advocacy. You can say I have this kind of population. He might go to Turkey. You know, most population in Turkey are Muslims. And say I have this type of Muslims, this number of Muslims, what are you going to offer for us? I think it will help us a lot.
Okay, now let me come back to Consolate in terms of preparations. I do understand entirely what you have been doing is to call upon the people to be part of this exercise. What do you expect from all the stakeholders now as we head into this exercise? Because if you really look at 9th of May, which is the census night, today is the 7th of May, that means that we are just left with about a day. What do you expect from all the stakeholders?
Thank you so much. What we expect from people is to be ambassadors. You and me, you who is watching us, I want you to be an ambassador of census, because the data we're going to get from census will help all of us. This morning, I think I was on radio and I was telling people that There are many people out there who are educated, and they are the people who are letting us down. The people who are using social media, who are always knowing a lot of things, they are the ones who are actually discouraging the rest of the population. I want to encourage you who is watching TV, you have a role to play, you have a family, you have a village where you're coming from. Can you go back and also educate your people and let them know that it matters to be counted? Because what I realize is that sometimes we love to keep this kind of information to ourselves. And there are people who are in our rural parts of the city, they may not have an idea. Census is something that started way back in the biblical times. Census is not a new undertaking. Every country in this world takes census periodically. And even if we had resources, we would have wanted to do it after every 5 years. But because it's very expensive, we have this year to conduct the National Population and Housing Census. The only plea that I have for everybody is that let us be ambassadors, starting from the 9th. There are people who are saying that on social media that for me, if people come to my household, I do not want to be counted, I'm going to chase them away. Those kinds of people are looking for problems with the government, and you know when you're fighting with the government what it means. So I want to encourage you that if you're watching us this evening, go back and talk to your people.
Then talking about people who may want to shun the exercise, do we have any punishments maybe for them?
Of course, yes. And today also on social media people were arguing that I don't care if I will be taken 6 months in jail, but who would want to go in jail for a reason as simple as refusing to be counted? So I want to encourage that it attracts a sentence of 6 months in jail if you're going to be a saboteur of census. And I want to encourage that let us mobilize our people. There are some of our leaders, there are even leaders of the city who are very negative about census. I want to encourage that the census data is not for the president of this country. It is not for the ministry. The census data is for each and every one of us. Our children are the ones who are going to these schools. We are the ones who use these roads. You remember when it is rainy season and our roads become totally bad and we're not able to work on it. It is me and you who are using these roads. So if we get the accurate data, I believe that the city will get the right funding that will be able to address the existing gaps in terms of service delivery. So I want to encourage that as you're listening to this, talk to people around you. I always say that every day starting from today up to Thursday, up to the 10th, as you're greeting somebody, tell them that it matters to be counted. Okay. And that will be already sensitization to promote people to participate in census. Thank you.
Okay, it matters to be counted. That is the information that I will be carrying away from here, because each and everybody must be part of this exercise. Now let me come to you. What do you expect from the enumerators and also the members of the community? Because I do understand that both have a role to play. What do you expect from the two parties?
Yes, I will start with our community members. We will not expect every household member to line up
to answer the 180 questions.
To answer the questions.
The 180.
And while there are many questions, the questions are can be actually relevant for particular targets, especially age and also sex. We cannot ask questions about pregnancy and the delivery to men. So those questions will definitely be, as long as we have corrected that so and so in this household is a male, we will definitely not receive questions meant for females. And then also there are questions which are age appropriate, especially we cannot ask a child of less than 3 years any question about education, because we expect that this person will not have gone to even pre-primary school. And therefore, while the questions may sound many in courts, you find that they are not meant for everyone in that household to answer. So I will expect cooperation. It may take some bit of time, about 40 minutes or so, depending on the household size. I expect us to be patient and provide as accurate data as possible. Because we have instructed the enumerators to pick responses as they are, not to start imagining or start assuming. And therefore, the accuracy of the data we'll collect solely depends on the community and the respondents that we'll get. So we expect that the most knowledgeable person within that household should be the one actually to respond to these questions. but he or she may be allowed to consult where he does not have information, because sometimes we know that some of us may forget dates of birth of our children, or may miss some one or two information. They are allowed to consult other household members, but will not keep every household member in one location to ask those questions.
Okay. That means that the issue about answering 180 questions is not true. Definitely, you are not going to be answering all those questions. And for those who are the fear, we have been told that you are not going to be answering all these questions. You may just answer 20 or maybe 15 perhaps. And what we are saying is that let you be counted, because the Consolate said the slogan is it matters to be counted, and that is also really what we need to also really put forward. And we must keep on reminding our neighbors, maybe as people who have the knowledge, and it also becomes quite absurd to see people whom we think have the knowledge also to decampaign the progress, and that is also really something at the end of the day which wouldn't be very, very much bad. Now I want to bring back to you still. I want to ask the question about scenarios where we had people, unlike the previous census exercise, where somebody will just sit under a tree and forge the information. How prepared are you for such anomalies that may arise? Because some of these people exercise may also really see these people emerging, people who are there who may not want to move to families and just fill the information on what they think.
Yeah, thank you. Why we went digital is actually to avoid that anomaly. And one is the fact that before we go into this exercise, already households were mapped and listed. So as the enumerators were listed, they already have the maps of these households that was already done some time ago. And then secondly, a key component, before you even move to the first question, once the respondent agrees to actually continue with the interview, is captured in the GPS. Okay. And this GPS will be able to help us track that all these households seem to be under a tree or in some drinking joint or some other point. But beyond that is that the status of these households keeps changing as the enumerator does the work. Because along the way, as he or she poses, they can save where the household changes to orange. And once that household is completed, it actually changes to green. So the supervisors at the ward level, at the division level, and us at the city level will actually be able to know on a particular day how many households were completed across the entire city. Okay. And that is where we can easily know that someone actually did not reach the household, but is only written from elsewhere. Okay. Thank you.
We had a scenario where people had to apply and each cell is actually listed. Are we expecting scenarios where somebody who had applied to work in cell A crossing maybe cell B?
Yes, that may arise because initially we had over 2,000 enumeration areas. However, when UBOS received fewer tablets for this exercise, the numbers were scaled down. And therefore, we have allocated enumerators per ward. So the enumerators that we are allocating, for instance, just as an example, I don't have the final figures here. Okay. If, say, our Windiri ward has, say, 20 enumerators, regardless of which cells they are in, we will allocate them to the cells within there. Okay. So you, in one way or another, have applied and expecting the previous enumeration area that you will be, say, in Niva cell, but you are now with a group of others who are allocated to that ward. Okay. And therefore, you will be able to work beyond your cell as well. Okay. But also there are a few cases where in some of the distant wards, especially Lufe, on this other side of Iv East, then Baraka, we received quite few applications. And because we have already done this training, we will still be able to assign the enumerators that we have trained, much as they have that extra disadvantage of having to move some distance to get to the households. But all that is being addressed so that every household, every cell, every ward, and every division
meaning these people who have been recruited as enumerators are people who are from within?
They're all from our
Because I had fears from some members of the community who said some people have been ferried from elsewhere to come and apply in as enumerators here. Are we also seeing that happening?
Actually, one condition for our enumerators was to come with the LC letter.
Regardless of where you come from?
The LC letters we are considering were those of your residence. So, as we talk now, we have a copy of the national ID, we have a copy of the LC letter that introduced each of the enumerators that are actually going to do this work. And then also on top of that, for the sake of security, we have actually captured each of them holding our tablets that we have issued them for this exercise. So there should not be any fear that we're going to get people who do not know our language, who do not know our location near, to come and enumerate. All these are people within Arua city, only that they may not work in their particular cell in all cases.
Okay.
Some may move from one cell to another or from one ward to another, but that does not mean that they are actual people from other districts or other places outside this country.
Okay, now let me move to Honorable Kalsum. There's a viewer who is asking here, why is census carried out each and every 10 years, not 20 or 30 years? Why that particular period of 10 years?
I think, in fact, if resources were there, we could say it should be carried within 5 years. Because within 10 years, you find that others who are not captured are already there consuming the resources we have, and others who missed out were there. But within 10 years, we are able to accommodate them for second batch of service delivery. We need to update ourselves every 10 years. And I think as a community, as a wananchi, resource available, we are likely to move that it should be after 5 years.
Okay.
It is very important. 20 years is too long for us to determine service delivery for people who are not captured.
Okay. Now let me bring back Consolate. I've kept her for quite a long period of time. I want to see how you will be commencing with the exercise. Are we seeing you stopping with the campaign at the beginning, or we shall see you continue till the end of the process?
Thank you so much. I think we are not going to stop with the campaign because our desire is to ensure that people who have not been reached will also be reached. Somebody might imagine that by Friday we're going to stop with the campaign, the publicity, but we are going to go up to the 19th of May because we know that some people may not be reached, and we want to reach everybody. So we will continue going on radio, we will continue going to our villages. I think we have the team. There is a team called the City Census Committee. They'll be moving, monitoring the exercise, and they'll be addressing issues case by case. So I want to say that as a city, we really know that this is going to be highly successful, and our plea is to people who are watching us, that you are the person who can make it successful. And I want to say that some people who have been also misled to think that the counting will be done on the night of May 9th. It is not so. That's the reference night. One of my colleagues likes to say that if God took a picture, that is on the 9th of the night, that is 9th of May, and if there was a picture, anybody who appears in that picture will be counted. So as long as you have spent the night in Uganda, in Arua City, on the 9th of May 2024, you're going to be enumerated. Then also the concerns have been that we have border places like Odramachakulia, where people come in and go out, and you find sometimes our people cross over to Congo, others come back to Uganda. We are going to consider any person who has spent the night on 9th of, that is Thursday night. If you sleep here in Uganda, you're going to be enumerated. And finally, for us, those of us who love to move to the club, somebody said, are you going to move to the clubs? And are you going to enumerate people who are going to be dancing? No. Those who are going to be in clubs, I believe by 5, normally people get back home. So on the 10th of May, on Friday, we hope to find you home. The reason why the government has declared Friday 10th of May as a public holiday, it is so that we can stay home. Somebody was asking this morning that if I have been enumerated, can I now go and move around and do other things? It's okay. What matters is that you're counted and you can go about doing your other businesses. Otherwise, for us as a city, we are set, and we are hopeful that this time around you're going to get accurate data, and our enumerators are trained. They are going to be flagged off tomorrow. They are going to sign an oath of secrecy to ensure that your information is kept confidential. And also, as they move to you, sometimes because of social media, when people move out there, they see very interesting situations. They may be tempted to take pictures and say, I went to Consolate's home. It's looking funny. Let me take a picture. It's illegal. Nobody is supposed to be taking pictures, and you're going to have very disciplined enumerators who will follow the code of conduct for the 10 days of enumeration. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dabo, now let me come back to you quickly. That's in relation to the advantages of what we are expecting. Maybe that is through the online census exercise. What are we likely to have as advantages?
Will one have time saved in processing these results? Unlike the previous censuses, the final results will actually come out quicker than the previous. Yes, there will be some analysis done at the end of the census exercise after the enumeration, but the time taken will not be as much as where we need to get data entrance to capture.
Okay.
We also save in costs. We all realize that if you have to transfer all these census materials to one location, say in Kampala, it needs a lot of vehicles, it needs a lot of time in between people employed. So we will save that cost by going digital. And coupled with that will be the fact that when we are doing all these processes here,
okay,
we actually have data integrity and reduce data loss. Okay. Imagine working with paper from the household to the city center and rain gets you, or when they are transporting these papers from Arua to Kampala and the vehicle gets accident, there are lots of things that can happen that can distort this data. And all these are avoided because we are going digital for this year. But above all, we expect that this data should be able to have aggregation to the lowest level.
Okay.
So that we know while our national population is this, our complaint for Arua city is this. And even within the city, we can go down to the division, we can go down to the ward, we can go down to the cell. Okay. Because what I did not mention is that besides these other questionnaires, there's a community questionnaire where the LC will mobilize key opinion leaders within that community, together with the key informants in form of the institution heads if they're there, so that they answer general questions about infrastructure, about schools, about health, okay, about finances. All that will be captured by the supervisor.
Okay, now talking about those resources you have mentioned, somebody could be having this question: what if I take part in the exercise and in 2026 the services do not reach me? Who will be there to blame after giving my information? Because you said it will help you in resource allocation. Now one person, that is the Honorable Fademula, she is that is the chairperson of social service Arua City, and also to talk more about that. Definitely, maybe who will be there to blame?
I think we are not anticipating for that. We are very hopeful that it is going to influence service delivery, and we are hopeful that we shall stick to what we have and demand for our national cake. Because you cannot go to OPM and say, I have this number of refugees, so anything to do with the refugees, we need a share, no? But they will say, where is the data? You know? So if the data is there, I think everything is going to be possible, and let us pray that nothing negative happens, because we are all beneficiaries of this exercise, okay, and the exercise is not going to be harmful. I'm just calling for total support and collaboration. Let us unite together to ensure that resources reach us. Okay. Many other people in other regions have taken lead to see that they mobilize enough number of people to ensure that they get the resources. So for us, if we play around, it is really going to affect us negatively. Okay. But on behalf of the mothers, I want to say that we really want positivity in this city, such that we progress, children can go to school, people can do what, health services are there for us, water, clean water, roads, such that we grow like any other part of the region. Okay. So let's call for total support. LCs come to us, let us unite, and tomorrow LCs of Central Division, as their representative, we are going to sit down and see the modalities, how we are going to help the Wananchi and mobilize them for the same exercise. I'm also calling for the same for Ivo Division. We are going to join hands together. We are with my colleague councillors. They were all there. I want to appreciate them. Okay. But I know they already have the information. They are down there on ground, mobilizing for the same thing. Okay, maybe your final words, because we're already 4 minutes after 9 p.m. That means that we only have about a minute. That is to move away. In 30 seconds, maybe your final words, and I will also be giving the same platform to each and everybody here to have the final. I just want to thank Western TV for being here in our region, and as a government, we are impressing it because this time service delivery has become very possible, and right now people are watching. Those who never got the information, I am very sure that they are appreciating but it's that they could not give their input by now.
Okay.
But I know that as we go out, we shall be able to talk to them. Radio talk shows, radio programs are ongoing. Those will help us. But
Okay.
we need to really involve cultural leaders, religious leaders. I want to appreciate them in advance because as we started, they were all in our support.
Okay.
But you cannot rule out saboteurs.
Okay.
But there are people who don't have heart for the community.
All
They are
right.
there.
Okay.
But I want to pray that God trickles into their hearts.
Okay.
Because this is the only determinant for us for the 10 coming years.
All right, now let me come back to Consolate, your final words as we get to step out of the station.
Thank you so much. I'm so pleased to be here again. I want to say that it matters to be counted. As you're watching us, make sure you're counted, make sure your family is captured. Be friendly to our enumerators. Some of you who are not happy, I don't know for what reasons, when they come, there is a meme that is going on in social media where rain got certain people and they were chasing them and somebody wrote that enumerators being chased away.
Quite unfortunate.
I want to say that let us be friendly to our enumerators. Let us receive them, support them by giving them your time and support them by giving them your accurate data. Thank you. God bless you for
All right, and finally, Mr. John, your final words.
Thank you, National TV. And it matters to be counted. Let's all be counted and make our next 10 years data-driven in terms of planning.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. I do appreciate you for coming through. And to the viewer who watched us right from the time we began until this hour of the show, we say thank you so much. And that is also really information you shouldn't only keep to yourself. Keep on extending that information to that person who may not be able to maybe get the access to this information here. And really with that, we come to the close of this talk show. And we very, very much also appreciate you. And for now, let's move out to the show. And as we also really leave the studios for the other programs that may follow. My name is Farish Majid. Stay tuned.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Fellow countrymen and women, especially the Bazukuru, as we work towards realizing Uganda's Vision 2040, it is important that we plan based on accurate information about our people and our resources. I therefore would like to announce the 6th National Population and Housing Census that will start on the 10th of May 2024. The information from the National Population and Housing Census will support government, the private sector, cultural and religious institutions, civil society, and development partners in service delivery. It will also provide the basis for planning the provision of social services such as education, health, and transport, among many others, at the national and local levels. When data collectors or enumerators come to your home during the census, please avail yourselves and provide them with honest answers to their questions. This is in order to enable them to process the most accurate information about you, your household, institutions, and community. I therefore call upon all political, cultural, and religious leaders, private sector players, civil society, the media, and the institutions of the government to support this key national program. The successful execution of this census will influence the well-being of all Ugandans and progress the country towards the desired socio-economic transformation. I wish you all a successful census for God and my country.